Hello again, folks. How are we doing? I am Scott. That is Bo. There is a co-pilot in the co-pilot seat, but if I mention her name, she'll start screaming again. Today's the 7th day of March, 2023. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon. We're going to talk about this. And this is one amazing representative piece of journalism from the United States and the state of journalism in the United States. This is from the New York Times. It is written by these three individuals. And I, quite frankly, I'm in awe. I'm in awe. I'm just straight out in awe that this makes it into the New York Times. Unbelievable. You talk about being you say these fucking fake news journalists out there, and there's tons and tons of them, and they put out bullshit all the fucking time, baseless bullshit all the fucking time. Ray beams from space, hologram planes, just bullshit. Weapons of mass destruction, yellow cake from Niger, just bullshit. But this takes the fucking cake. This takes the yellow cake from Niger, just like that. You have more cohesive and coherent fucking arguments laid out by flat earthers than this. And that's not an exaggeration. That's not hyperbole. However, before I go into this with you, I am under an obligation. I look after my staff here, and one of them has a bone to pick with someone. You guys might remember Sir Saucy of the Crawfish Nebula. He's been with us for quite some time. And he used to get, when I did the videos via Windows Movie Maker, he used to get credit all the time. And he's pissed off that I have stopped doing that. So I'm going to have to go back into that and do that again. Possibly even with this video. But he has a bone to pick. So, I would just let him do it, but it's hard for me to translate on the fly what he has to say. So he has prepared a statement, and I put it on this here image. So Saucy was excited and ordered a book from Amazon called A Guide to ET's Star Nations and Beings, A through L, Volume 1. By one Jake Mueller, if that is his real name. Sir Saucy was very excited about this book, and he had me order it for him, and I did. And Sir Saucy has read it. And Sir Saucy is calling shenanigans. He stated, and I quote, "I read this piece of shit. Star Nations A to L, my hairless gray ass. Not one mention of the Crawfish Nebula, racist bastard. If I could afford the wormhole toll, I'd come down there and probe you again. Sweet dreams, Jake, if that is your real name. Bastard!" Saucy. That's enough. So, Sir Saucy is not happy. Sir Saucy thinks that racism towards the crawfishers, I said it, racism towards the crawfishers will not be tolerated, Jake. So, I had to get that out of the way. If you guys are interested, you can see for yourself, and you can evaluate for yourself this book. It's available on Kindle and paperback. This is the paperback version. The other one was the Kindle version. The cover was the Kindle version. Now, I might, if I may, to Jake, bastard! Stop it. I might suggest, Jake, you go to this website. It's called Fiverr. And you can pay people like $5 to do all kinds of shit. Now, it's not one of those websites where you pay somebody $5 and she sticks a banana up her butt. It's not that. These are people who have actually skills and talent. I get that you're not a graphic designer, graphic artist. You are a historian. Racist, stop it. But that's not your thing. But you can pay someone $5 and they could actually move the fucking text block off of your artwork. $5. It's not a whole lot to invest in the cover of your book. But there you go. You guys can go look at this and decide for yourselves whether Sir Saucy has an argument. And if what he says is true, and there's no mention of the Crawfish Nebula, and that must mean that he's racist towards the crawfishers, and because clearly, you think I made that up? That's the Crawfish Nebula, and if he hasn't mentioned the Crawfish Nebula, then maybe there's something fishy going on. Shut up. You knew I was going to do that, didn't you? All right. Go out and check out that book, guys. Now, journalism. The state of journalism in America today. Oh, my fucking God. I got to put the glasses on for this. I wish I had the hat. The hat's up there. I'm not going to stand up again. People send me exercise equipment whenever I stand up. It's fucking sad. It's fucking sad. Because you're fat. Shut up. Okay. This is the article. It is just fucking wild. Obviously, they're pissed off because, I don't know. Yeah, Seymour Hersh came out with a lot of detail in his article, which, 5 months after I came out with mine, he came out and said the same goddamn thing. And that was that, yeah, we did it. And they planted the fucking high explosives on the fucking pipelines during a thing called the Baltic Operations 2022, in which they used these here new drones that they could use for mine disposal, which means the drone's designed to go down and put some high explosives on a fucking mine that will be triggered when the drone drives off and it blows up the fucking mine. And they were drilling with those at Baltic Operations 2022. And I covered that 2 days after the event. Seymour Hersh came out and covered it 5 months after the event and said basically the same goddamn thing. So, I scooped him by 5 fucking months. However, there's tons and tons and tons and tons of evidence to suggest that is exactly what fucking happened. Okay? Awesome. Now, they come out with some new intelligence. And I swear to God, your average flat earther could make a believer out of you with their bullshit before these guys could with this. Let me read a bit of this for you. New intelligence reviewed by U.S. officials suggest that a pro-Ukrainian group carried out the attack on the Nord Stream pipeline last year. I said the same thing. I did it 2 days afterwards. The pro-Ukrainian group, it goes by the fucking name, the Biden administration. and the CIA. Because, as I mentioned in here, the CIA issued a vague warning in June to a number of European nations, including Germany, that the two Nord Stream gas pipelines that carry natural gas from Russia could be targeted in forthcoming attacks. The CIA came out and said that. By the way, that's the same fucking month they were planting the goddamn things with their new underwater fucking mine disposal drones. I'm just saying. A step toward determining responsibility for an act of sabotage that has confounded investigators on both sides of the Atlantic for months. I wasn't confounded. Seymour Hersh wasn't confounded. U.S. officials said they had no evidence President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine or his top lieutenants were involved in the operation, or that the perpetrators were acting at the direction of any Ukrainian government officials. The brazen attack on the natural gas pipelines which link Russia to Western Europe fueled public speculation about who was to blame. I don't know why it fueled speculation, because both fucking Nuland and President Biden both said, we're going to take out those. We'll take out the fucking Nord Streams. They just flat out said they're going to do it. And guess what? The brazen attack on the natural gas pipelines which linked Russia to Western Europe fueled public speculation about who was to blame. From Moscow to Kiev to London to Washington, and it has remained one of the most consequential unsolved mysteries of Russia's year-old war in Ukraine. Actually, it's not unsolved. I solved it, and then 5 months later, Seymour Hersh solved it. With much more information, by the way, than I had. Mine was speculation, and mine was circumstantial evidence. Seymour Hersh actually had evidence. I recommend you go read his stuff. Ukraine and its allies have been seen by some officials as having the most logical potential motive to attack the pipelines. They have opposed the project for years, calling it a national security threat because it would allow Russia to sell gas more easily to Europe. Ukrainian government and military officials say they had no role in the attack and do not know who carried it out. No, we had a motive. We had a motive to make the economy scream across Europe, because that's the target of this operation. It's not Russia. They're not going to regime change Russia. They never thought this would regime change Russia. They never thought Ukraine would fucking roll over Russia and take it over. They never thought that. But they could use it as cover for throwing the economic brick down on fucking people of Ukraine, and at the same time destabilizing the countries, the westernized countries of Europe, and of course Canada, United States, Australia, New Zealand, in preparation for dropping that same economic brick called the Great Reset on us. Here's the article. Here's the art. This is the gold. This is gold. This is comedy gold. Listen, these are three fucking professionals making well over $150,000 a year as journalists. U.S. officials said there was much they did not know about the operators, and their affiliations. The review of newly collected intelligence suggests they were opponents of President Vladimir V. Putin of Russia, but does not specify the members of the group or who directed or who paid for the operation. U.S. officials declined to disclose the nature of the intelligence or how it was obtained or any details of the strength of the evidence it contains. They have said that there are no firm conclusions about it, leaving open the possibility that the operation might have been conducted off the books by a proxy force with connections to the Ukrainian government or its security services. In other words, a lone gunman did it. Lee Harvey Oswald, with 3 bullets, It was 3 pipelines, 3 bullets. One of them was magic. That paragraph, 3 people got paid, whatever they got paid, to write that drivel. And the rest of the article is the same. You can go watch it. You can go read it. 3 professionals, proud professionals, who go and hang out in the same places that Murrow used to hang out in New York. That real journalists back in the day used to go and hang out. And they got pictures of them hanging up on fucking mahogany fucking walls while dudes sit around and smoke cigars, $40 cigars, drinking fucking $70 fucking a glass bourbons, and patting themselves on the back for being journalists. In the same fucking places real journalists used to call home. The real journalists, the ones who were the outcasts in even their own fucking newsrooms, in their own bureaus, the ones who sat in the corner and everyone revered, but everyone left them the fuck alone because it didn't smell so good, they didn't take care of themselves, they always fucking drank, but they were the best goddamn writers in that fucking organization. Journalists. And these pieces of shit, right now probably, 4:30, Eastern Standard, are hanging out, toasting each other for that fucking drivel. As somebody who has dealt with a bunch of these fucking conspiracy theories for decades now, I can now say that, I can now use plural decades now. As someone who has done that, I will tell you this. As weak sauce as that fucking article is, you wouldn't even get the dumbest of the followers of conspiracy theorists to follow that bullshit. You wouldn't. And I've seen some dumb shit. Ray beams from space. I've seen some dumb fucking shit. There was one, they built the fucking Twin Towers with nuclear warheads in them for the demolition. That was one that was almost as dumb as this. Almost as dumb as this. Mini nukes. Novichok. Saddam Hussein did 9/11. There's some notable fucking exceptions to this grand tradition of bullshit from these fuckers. This is the fucking cream of the crop. And by the cream of the crop, I mean the bottom of the fucking barrel. This is just garbage. This is just fucking garbage. There's not much they did know about the perpetrators or the affiliations. They don't know anything. U.S. officials said there was much they did not know about the perpetrators and their affiliations. Listen to me very carefully. Whoever bombed Nord Stream must not have liked Vladimir Putin very much because it's his goddamn fucking pipeline. I'm wrapping it up. He is such a fucking prick, these goddamn aliens. A review of the newly collected intelligence suggests they were opponents of Vladimir Putin of Russia. Really? What makes you say that? But does not specify the members of the group or who directed them or who paid for the operation. If you don't know who did it, who figured it out, or who paid for it, what the fuck do you know? What the fuck do you know? You know nothing. And he's not saying they didn't tell us this information. They're saying they don't know this information. And this motherfucker they got the checks and they laughed all the way to the goddamn bar. U.S. officials declined to disclose the nature of the intelligence. So, okay, you got nothing on these people. Okay, I'm trying to write this. Help me out here. You got nothing on who did it. You got nothing on who planned it. You got nothing on who paid for it. Right. Okay, great. I'll write it. I swear to God, I'll write it. Don't hurt my family. But tell me, okay, what kind of intelligence did you get of this no information intelligence that drove you to this conclusion? Oh, we can't tell you that. Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll write it. I swear to God. Just don't hurt my kids. U.S. officials declined to disclose the nature of the intelligence or how it was obtained or any details of the strength of the evidence it contains. Can you tell me anything, please? No. Because we said so. What? Because we said so. Keeping in mind, the people that said so, the intelligence, were CIA, and the CIA said that the thing was going to blow up. It just hurts. It hurts so much. It hurts my brain. God damn, it hurts my chest too. Oh, fuck. It's giving me fucking cancer. This fucking article is so bad, it's giving me cancer. Ah, Jesus. They said that there's no firm conclusions about it, leaving open the possibility that the operation might have been conducted off the books by Lee Harvey Oswald. Ah, God. Oh, it hurts. You know the guys who drive around and they got a van and they put up a sign outside of all these different fucking protests and things going on. The birds aren't real, guys. By the way, that comes from Fallout. It's a video game. And if you shoot one of the birds, you'll find out that it's actually got, it's robotic. And they use them for, the Institute uses them to spy on people. And so these people drive around in this van, and it says birds aren't real. And they repower themselves. They recharge their batteries by sitting on the fucking power lines. Yeah. Their shit is more evidence-based than that article I just read you. Without a doubt. No question. If you held a big symposium and you had those three motherfuckers and the three original no birds guys, and you said, okay, you present your fucking argument and you present your argument and we'll see which way the symposium goes. I guarantee you the New York Times guys would be drinking away their fucking misery about 30 minutes after that symposium vote takes place because they won't win. And the New York Times is the paper of record. And as much as I play around with this topic, I do so, and you could probably hear it in my voice while I was doing it, with a real tangible sorrow is the only way I can describe it. Because that is what journalism is today in this country. In war, the first fucking casualty is the truth. And we are at war. They are waging war on us now. It's not Russia. It's not China. It's not fucking Venezuela. It's not Guam. It's not MS-13. This is a war being waged by these fucking people, these elites, quote unquote, against us. And in the face of all the evidence presented by fucking Seymour Hersh, and then 5 months before that, what evidence I did have presented by myself, in the face of that, this is what they have to argue it. This is what they come back with. And they published this on Twitter, which is where I saw it. So, of course, I had to click on it to see what evidence they had, and lo and behold, there's just none. There's just a say-so from the agency that was running around while bombs were being planted during Baltic Operations 2022 by the fucking underwater demolitions team and their fucking remote underwater vehicles. The CIA was running around telling people, be careful, something might happen to these fucking Nord Stream 1, 2, and 3, and 4 pipelines. You be careful. The same fucking agency has come out with this. And no one even fucking bats an eye. That's where we are. That's what journalism has become to, has been reduced to. I would prefer, from now on, you call me a conspiracy theorist. Because at least in that implies a certain sense of honor and a certain sense of integrity that journalists just don't have in America today. And it is a crying shame when you look at the history of what some journalists did for this nation. Thank you for your time.